Hello there, I'm Presley, and today I will be reviewing The Evil Within. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the plot. I'm just going to give a brief summary of the very beginning of the game. Okay, so you play as Sebastian, who is a detective that works at the Crimson City Police Department. And in the beginning of the game, him, his partner Joseph Oda, and Junior Detective Kidman, all responding to a call about a mass murder that has occurred at Beacon Mental Hospital. And Sebastian and Joseph, who are the two that head inside, they find one survivor, who is one of the doctors that works there, and Sebastian goes over to look at the security cameras, to see if he can see who did this. And on the cameras we see a few police officers, and we see them being killed by this hooded figure. And then when Sebastian turns around, the guy's there. We see him try to stab Sebastian. Sebastian loses consciousness. And when he wakes up, he finds himself in this room that has this guy with a chainsaw roaming around it. So basically, he sneaks around there, he grabs the keys to the door, he uses them on the door, you have a bit of a chase scene with the guy with the chainsaw. Ultimately, he escapes, he gets out of the basement area, and then he exits the mental hospital, only to then see that outside the mental hospital is currently not doing well. An ambulance pulls up. It's being driven by another officer that was with the other three characters I mentioned earlier. And Sebastian, he hops in the back of the ambulance. You can see Kidman along with the doctor that they found earlier and the doctor's patient, Leslie. Let's just say the driver isn't doing well for long. He starts to turn into this sort of haunted, possessed-looking zombie-ish creature, I guess you could say. And then the ambulance ends up crashing, and that's how the game starts. Now, when it comes to gameplay, I found myself being a bit confused at times about what exactly to do in certain areas. However, I still thought that it was honestly really enjoyable. Now, I will admit, I did find it a bit annoying how awful Sebastian's stamina is when it comes to his ability to run, but I felt like after I fully upgraded it, it wasn't nearly as much of a problem as it was in the beginning. In terms of the story, I thought it was pretty decent. I thought it was pretty interesting. I found myself quite invested in the story and excited to see what happened next as I played through the game. I thought Ruvik was a honestly really good villain for this game. He made a great antagonist. In terms of the graphics of the game, I feel like the graphics have aged fairly well. They could have aged worse, in my opinion. And personally, a game's graphics aren't necessarily the most important thing for me when I'm playing a game, so it wasn't really a big issue I would have been focused on anyway. Now, in terms of the game's soundtrack, honestly, I think the overall soundtrack used in the game is really good. In terms of the characters that you see throughout this game, I think that they were all pretty good. However, my favorite character was hands down absolutely Joseph Oda. I found Joseph to be a very entertaining character to watch, and I really enjoyed every part of the game that he was in. Now, moving on to some of my overall thoughts. I struggled with Chapter 3 more than I'd like to admit, because I just honestly could not figure out what I was supposed to do for a long time in it. So ultimately I ended up having to look up a guide for Chapter 3, because I could not figure out what I was supposed to do. I felt pretty embarrassed when I looked up the guide and quickly saw that what I had to do was honestly really easy. And now, you see, the problem with it is that I was trying to fight the chainsaw guy before I found the agony crossbow. I feel like most people would see the chainsaw guy assume, oh yeah, this must be the boss for this chapter. I'm going to explore before I try to take him on. But not me. Not me. I saw the chainsaw guy and I said, hey, there's an axe. Let me grab it and break those boards and also break his chains and try and fight him. Needless to say, it did not end well for me the few times I tried to do that. Now, honestly, I struggled with Chapter 6 quite a bit. It took me a good number of tries to actually get through Chapter 6, and the main reason is I kept running out of ammo. And you know what? I don't think I would have made it through Chapter 6 if it hadn't been for Joseph. Because you see, here's the thing. I tend to play games like this on the easiest difficulty for my first playthrough, and then I move up the difficulty in each subsequent playthrough, obviously. So, Joseph saved me so many times during this chapter when I was on the brink of death. And you know what? That's one of the reasons why I like Joseph so much. He really helped me out in this chapter. And you know, I appreciate it. I appreciate Joseph as a character. Now, of course, I can also absolutely see why, on the higher difficulties of this game, how Joseph could very quickly become a liability in this chapter, because there's a lot of things you gotta worry about in this chapter. Chapter 10 is one of the most infuriating parts of a game I've ever played. I despise Laura with a burning passion. I died to Laura around 50 times in this chapter. I'm not even joking. 50 times! I could not get past her section for some reason. I struggled with it so much. Now, overall, I thought all the different enemy designs, were really good. Like, I really liked them. Some are more unsettling than others. Some are just more outright, you know? Like, despite how much I hate Laura's boss fight, I do really like her design. I probably won't try to platinum this one. I normally try to platinum most of the games I play, but between the Akumu mode difficulty and Chapter 10's very existence, I probably won't. But honestly, I really enjoyed most of this game, so if I had to rank this game, I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10 overall. Because overall, I think the game is really good and I really enjoyed it. However, there are definitely some parts that definitely weigh it down, in my opinion. Well, I think this is going to be it for this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.